Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you joining us today. Look, if you've ever stood there staring at a fresh puddle on your favorite rug, just feeling totally overwhelmed by your dog's bathroom habits, take a deep breath. You are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're demystifying canine house soiling. We're going to break down the actual science of why this happens and hand you the exact step-by-step schedules to fix it for good. We've got a ton of fascinating ground to cover, so let's just jump right in.
20%. Think about that for a second. That is a massive statistic. It literally means that 1 in 5 pet dogs struggles with house soiling. So if you are currently pulling your hair out over indoor accidents, please hear this. You are not alone, you haven't failed as an owner, and this is just an incredibly common challenge that countless dog lovers face every single day.
And you know, the frustration you feel when you find an accident, it's completely valid. House soiling seriously degrades the human-animal bond. It just builds this constant tension in your home. And tragically, it's actually one of the leading reasons why dogs end up relinquished to shelters. But by being here right now, you're taking the active steps to protect that bond and keep your pup happily at home where they belong.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by understanding the house soiling problem itself, then we'll move into diagnosing the underlying cause. After that, we'll cover setting daily training goals, building a foolproof routine, and finally, we'll wrap up with specific schedules for literally every lifestyle.
All right, Section 1, the house soiling problem. To solve any problem, we really need to understand the mechanics of it first. Like, why does your dog keep choosing the living room rug?
Well, the absolute most crucial point to grasp here is that indoor elimination is a self-reinforcing behavior. Think about it from the dog's point of view, right? They feel this uncomfortable pressure in their bladder or bowels, they relieve themselves on your floor, and boom, immediately they feel better. Because that physical relief feels so good, the behavior actually reinforces itself. Every single time they make a mistake indoors, they are actively developing a learned preference for that exact spot. This is exactly why our primary goal has to be proactively preventing the mistakes before they even happen.
Moving into Section 2, diagnosing the underlying cause. Before we can even think about rolling out training schedules, we gotta play detective. We have to figure out if we're dealing with a behavioral problem or a medical one.
This distinction between medical and behavioral causes is absolutely vital, guys, because you simply cannot train away a medical condition. If a previously perfectly house-trained dog suddenly starts having accidents, or say a puppy is just completely blowing past your training efforts, medical conditions have to be your top differential. Are they in pain when they posture? Do they have a urinary tract issue increasing their urgency? Have they lost mobility? Getting to the vet is always step 1 to rule out those physical ailments before we even touch the behavioral side of things. Take senior dogs, for example. Say you've got an older dog with a flawless track record, perfectly trained, and suddenly they begin soiling the house. I promise you, they aren't doing it to spite you. Senior dogs can actually suffer from cognitive dysfunction syndrome. It's this progressive decline in their cognitive functioning that can cause a sudden loss of bladder control, or honestly just make them forget their years of house training. It requires patience and medical management, not behavioral discipline.
Okay, but once the vet gives the all clear, then we look at the behavioral causes. And there are 4 distinct categories here. The first is super straightforward, a lack of house training. They just haven't learned the rules yet. Second is urine marking, which is actually a form of communication, usually triggered by territorial threats or anxiety. Third, we've got excitement or submissive urination, which you see all the time in young puppies when you first greet them. And finally, fear and anxiety disorders like separation anxiety or a really severe fear of thunderstorms, which can literally cause a dog to lose control or just be too terrified to step foot outside.
So now that we know what we're dealing with, it's time for Section 3, setting daily training goals. This is where we actually start shifting the whole dynamic in your household.
Here's a bit of a mindset shift. Setting boundaries is actually a form of love. Keeping to a rigid schedule tells your dog that you are the benevolent leader. Dogs actually crave what experts call safe certainty. They want to know the rules of the house. By structuring their feeding, their playtime, and those all-important potty breaks, you're helping them understand that they must work for their privileges. It builds this really calm, predictable environment where they can just thrive.
And listen to me on this one. It is absolutely crucial that you avoid verbal or physical punishment. It is 100% counterproductive. Rubbing a dog's nose in a mess or yelling, that doesn't teach them where they're supposed to go. It literally only teaches them to be terrified of you. Positive reinforcement is our most powerful tool here. You want to give a super high-value treat immediately after they eliminate in the correct outdoor location.
That builds a huge bond of trust and actively strengthens their preference for going outside.
With that positive reinforcement mindset totally locked in, let's hit Section 4, building a foolproof routine. We're going to walk step by step through the exact mechanics of what a perfect morning looks like.
That very first potty break of the day, it is make or break. Notice step 1 here, roll out of bed silently. I mean it. Do not talk to your puppy. Speaking excitedly to them first thing in the morning is a one-way ticket to triggering that excitement urination we just talked about. So you quickly get your shoes on, silently open the crate, carry or leash the puppy, and go straight to the potty area. Put them down and just wait. Usually the pee comes first, followed pretty shortly by the poop, and only after they finish both do you get to break out the treats, celebrate, and play.
And this brilliantly illustrates why the morning timeline needs to be incredibly tight. Check this out. At 6 a.m., immediate potty. At 6:30 a.m., you offer that first meal and water. Because, well, what goes in must come out, you schedule that second potty break shortly after, right around 7:10 a.m. Then, by 7:30 a.m., the dog goes into confinement, whether that's a crate or a pen, before you start your workday. There are absolutely no unsupervised gaps here where an indoor mistake could even happen.
Of course, I know not everyone has the exact same daily routine. So let's explore Section 5, schedules for every lifestyle. How do we actually adapt these principles if, say, you work outside the home? If you are home during the day, you've got the luxury of taking a young, 7 to 15-week-old puppy out super frequently and using a crate for short little naps. But what if you work a standard 9 to 5? A young puppy physically cannot hold it all day in a crate. So for the 9 to 5 worker, your strategy has to shift. You utilize a larger exercise pen lined with pee pads while you're gone. You still pop home at noon to feed them and change the pads. And importantly, both lifestyles require setting overnight alarms, at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. to prevent crate accidents. You just have to adapt the environment to match your dog's physical limitations.
Now, to ensure these schedules are actually doing their job, you need data. Tracking your dog's progress using training logs is just incredibly effective. I highly encourage you to meticulously log their input, meaning exactly when they eat and drink, and their output when they potty. It's like a giant puzzle, and this lets you spot the patterns and predict their needs. And keep in mind, the ultimate finish line according to behavioral experts is a complete 8-week accident-free streak. Only then can you officially say your dog is house-trained and start relaxing that eagle-eye supervision.
So look at everything we've covered. The mechanics, the diagnosis, the positive reinforcement, and those exact daily schedules. The tools are literally right here in front of you. Yeah, implementing these schedules takes some discipline and definitely a few painful early morning wake-up calls. But the payoff? A peaceful home and a beautifully trained companion.
Ultimately, house training isn't just about protecting your expensive rugs. It's a 5-week journey of communication using the power of positive reinforcement. It's about teaching your best friend exactly how to succeed in your human world. With patience, an unwavering routine, and yet lots of treats, you will absolutely transform your relationship with your dog. So the only real question left is, are you ready to put in the work and train the best dog ever? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and seriously, best of luck on your training journey.